Hi everyone, welcome to the Dubai Airshow 2025. I'm here in the Vista Startups stage as well, and delighted to be joined by Clem Newton-Brown, CEO of Skyportz. Clem, we've spoken recently over the years since eVTOL Insight startup as well, but for those of our audience, can you briefly introduce Skyportz, yourself, and a one-sentence mission so viewers who haven't heard of us can kind of get an idea of what you're working on?
Sure. Well, our mission is we want to break the nexus between aviation and airports. We don't think any of the OEMs that are delivering the product can actually deliver what they've promised in terms of, or what's expected in terms of aviation on demand. And the reason for that is because there is not the fine grain of vertiports out there. So yes, the industry will start soon, and it will start with airports and heliports, and that's fantastic. But the actual revolution, the evolution turning into a revolution, can only come into play with lots of vertiports, and that's our mission. It's more than one sentence, sorry, but that is our mission. So look, we started off as a general vertiport company. We thought that we would run vertiports. We've now been focusing on our own intellectual property to develop something that we'll get to in a moment, which solves a lot of the problems that the OEMs are going to have and the operators will have in trying to fulfill that dream that we've all been talking about for so long. So that's our focus now.
Excellent stuff. And then the air show drew up a lot of excitement. I know you said before we went live you've had a chance to look around the show and the aircraft in the pavilion as well. But for you, Clem, and for Skyportz, what are you looking forward to most about this week?
Look, I think we're getting to the really pointy end of the industry progression, where we've got the industry about to start in this region. So the two front runners, Joby and Archer, are here on display. I think Joby is going to be flying in a few moments, or maybe it's Archer, or maybe both. I'm not sure. But I think they're both in the air. So it is quite exciting. There's a real buzz about them. There's a whole wing of the air show devoted to this industry. And I think the Middle East has really embraced this. They want to be first, and so this is why it's important for us to be here. While we're a supporting cog in the machine. I think we are here looking for investment. Yeah. So we're in the next 12 months we've got to lock down our R&D, finalise our prototype, and then get the product out to market. So we've been having meetings with investors all this week.
Excellent stuff. You kind of touched on a little bit about the strategic priorities as well, but I guess before we get to that, we've got some of the bits behind us as well, and we will touch upon some of the work you're doing. But can you walk our audience through some of the roadmap milestones? Design, permitting, to construction, commercial. What milestones do you expect to come first? Are you able to kind of walk us through what your roadmap looks like over the next 12 to 24 months? Then?
Yeah, so it's going to be really busy for us coming up. We've attracted grant funding from the Australian government, so we've now got a $500,000 fund to do further the research that we've been doing, which has been getting amazing results in ameliorating downwash and outwash. Yep. So just where we're at now, we can take reduce the downwash speed, the outwash speed 2.5 times faster than landing on a hard surface. So nice. It's a very significant benefit for anybody wanting to put a vertiport in. So we've got those funds now to do the further research, but at the same time we're being pushed by people wanting to be first. So we are progressing to a prototype soon. We've got a modular design expert, we've got an industrial designer. So the pad, the first iteration of our pad will be engineered, and the first prototype will be built this coming year, hopefully in the early part of that year. And then from there, it's really about what partners we've got who are interested in having a site and a prototype site. So we've been in the States in the last week or two, and in the UK, and there's some hot leads there.
Great.
And if we can get a strategic investor to come on board, I hope that we can provide these prototypes at a heavily discounted cost to test beds that will help us develop the product.
Excellent. Well, wishing you the very best of luck going forward for that, Clem, too. And then I guess again, are we able to touch upon Aeroberm, and we alluded to a bit on eVTOL Insights, but are you able to kind of tell us a little bit more about these developments? What are you most excited to deploy? And you mentioned again downwash and upwash, but are we able to talk about Aeroberm and a little bit more? Because I know you've got a recent announcement that you launched pretty much earlier today as well. So will be publishing on eVTOL Insights. But able to tell us a little bit more about that as well, please?
Sure. Look, the Aeroberm product, which is a trademarked name, which is going to be our the name that we use for our product that goes out to the market. So other vertiport companies can use our Aeroberm product. They can white label it, and we see our product being developed in conjunction with the air safety regulators around the world. So we're getting input from all of them about what needs to be in it, and if we get to the point where our Aeroberm is recognised as the safe place to land an aircraft, that it will become ubiquitous around the world. So it's got a very distinctive octagon shape, and it does three major things. So the first one is downwash and outwash amelioration, which is hugely important for shrinking the footprint. At the moment, you need about 100 metres square to land an eVTOL safely because of the downwash and outwash, and we're shrinking that. So the pad pays for itself because you're saving money on land, and so it's a no-brainer for the property industry. So we want to provide the opportunity for the property industry to join the aviation industry at a cost which is clear, and a system which is modular, can be installed very quickly, and which has been approved by the authorities. So downwash outwash is the big showstopper. The next one is noise. So as an ex-politician, I know that the authorities will run from this if people don't want it. Doing what you can to reduce the noise is important. We announced in Dublin last week that the University of Bristol is going to be working with us to quantify the noise. We know it's reducing the noise, but we're not quite sure by how much. So that will be another selling point. And the third showstopper is fire. And nobody wants to talk about fire in the aviation world, because obviously it's not a good thing for your aircraft to catch fire. But it's something which the property industry are hugely concerned about, and the airports are hugely concerned about. We've all seen car battery fires. They burn hot, they burn for a long time, and while you can put them out temporarily with water, you can't put them out for good, and you just have to let them burn. So the thermal runaway goes through, and it might take a day. So, and that's just unacceptable for a property owner or an airport to close down their facility for a day while an aircraft burns. So we've got a solution which is, experts have told me, is the only solution that they have found, and we've integrated the solution into a product which is fully immersing the batteries in water. So it's basically flooding the batteries. And we do that by having a tank underneath the Vertipad, which we patented. And this design enables us to drop an aircraft in an emergency situation, drop the aircraft into essentially an empty swimming pool below the pad. And that gives the peace of mind for the property industry, for the airports that are wanting to get into this, that we can actually solve this problem if it arises, and hopefully it never does.
No, very good. No, thank you very much. Really interesting points there as well. And if I could touch upon kind of the global scale, because we've talked about Australia and how it is doing a lot of work in its own country, but also there's a lot of other regions as well, which again I'll touch about. But before we get to that, are you able to share a little bit then about Australia? The states and cities. We know Brisbane, Gold Coast, very active. I know you're Melbourne, I think, if I'm right. But are you able to share a little bit more about kind of the states and city in Australia, and maybe then expand it into other markets? I know that Skyportz is looking into too.
Yeah, sure. In Australia, I think probably the Brisbane region is the most vibrant. You've got strong political support there from the Council of Mayors, and that's a cluster of municipalities around Brisbane. So from the Gold Coast to the south to the Sunshine Coast above Brisbane. And that's a very densely populated area. It's quite congested. So I think that makes sense as a first launch site. And that's a city that we've done some modelling on.
Good.
But I think overall, though, the market for our product is going to be, the scalable opportunity is global. We've done studies on 5 launch cities. So we included Brisbane, New Delhi, New York, Dubai, and one other. Escapes me now. Anyway, there's 5 cities. So we've assessed the demand for vertiports in this style of vertiport, which is very different to any other vertiport company. So most other vertiport companies are talking about building beautiful buildings, and we've designed some great buildings with our architect partners in the past. But we're talking about places to set down and pick up. And so in this model, we can get a lot more vertiports out there quickly, more affordably, and actually provide that fine network. So, so the figures we're at, just for those 5 launch cities, we're looking at somewhere around 6,000 vertiports over the next 15 years. So the opportunity is enormous, and that's just on those 5 launch cities. So if this takes off and if our product becomes the standard, then it's going to be a very big market indeed. So we're looking for partners to come in early now and to take licensing opportunities for particular regions. And we may have manufacturers within different regions, or we may have a central manufacturing facility where we can ship things from, or a combination of both.
Excellent. No, well, best of luck again. That sounds really good to hear all the work you're doing too. And I guess the question from my side as well is that, from a Skyport's perspective here, what makes a city or a region a no-go or go area? Is there certain criteria that it needs to meet? I'd love to kind of get into an idea of like the thought process when you identify potential sites for Skyports and the sort of deployment of sites.
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, we're not actually going out there and finding sites. We see ourselves as providing a product for people who want them. So we're not knocking on doors saying, hey, we really want to put a pad here. We want to sell a product to somebody who wants to buy the product. So we anticipate it'll be shopping centre owners, offices, airports who want to join the aviation industry. They see Joby and Archer flying around and they think, wouldn't it be great if they could land here? And so, and this sort of flips the economics on its head as well, because up till now everybody's been thinking the property industry will make money out of this, that they will lease a vertiport site, and I don't think that's going to work. I think there's too many there's not enough income coming in this industry. We need to actually take those costs off the operators and off the OEMs. And so the way we've got it set up is that the property industry will pay for these pads. They will benefit from that, so they'll have people coming to their shopping centre or their offices. Their rents will go up, and so it will be. It's a different way of doing it, and so we see that the property industry will come to us when they want to. They want to set up a vertiport, and they can buy the product. Now, I forgot what the question was. What was
it was really it's all right. It was really about the kind of what makes a region or a city go to. Or...
Sure. So in terms of, I mean, essentially, it's where people want to go, which is generally dense, built-up places. So airports are easy, but they're also not places people go as a destination. So they want to go downtown, they want to go to the shops, or they want to go to a business meeting. So and that makes the better the location, the more expensive the land, and the more congested it is, and the harder it is to get an aircraft into. So the better these networks become, the more necessary our pad's going to be. So that's the main criteria, and also there's the aviation aspect. So every site will have to be assessed by the property owner, and we would have aviation consultants who would assess it and make sure it's suitable. Obviously, in a dense location, there's a lot of other factors to look at.
Thank you ever so much for that, Clem. And I guess with all the other people you're talking to as well, are you having conversations with the authorities, the regulators? I'd love to get to hear how those kind of conversations have. So I imagine they might be a little bit different to the OEMs that are building the aircraft.
Sure. We want to have a product that the regulators have stamped and approved as this is safe, and the feedback we've had. I can't share from which regulators, but we have been talking to a lot of regulators around the world, and they're actually crying out for this. They're sick of seeing renders of beautiful buildings. They actually want the nuts and bolts of, can you make this safe? And the showstoppers identified fire, downwash, outwash, and noise. Although not so much noise for the safety regulators, but the fire issues and downwash, outwash. This is what will kill off the industry if it's not solved. So yes, we are talking with the regulators. The OEMs have some great discussions today, and that's been ongoing.
Good.
At the moment, the OEMs are more focused on getting their aircraft in the air and certified. So the low-hanging fruit for them is to start flying from existing airports and helipads, and I get that. But that's not the revolution that will make them sell a lot of aircraft. They need to very quickly then move to offering a solution to their fleet buyers. So a fleet buyer can say, I'll take 100 of those S4s or those Midnights, and we've got 500 locations to fly them to, and with our product, it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands to
Yeah,
set up a
yeah,
vertiport.
yeah.
And I don't see vertiports as actually needing to have charging at all of them. I think you have your central vertipad or vertiport that is lots of charging and hanging and everything else. And then you have your sweet spot of maybe 50 miles around it that you can drop down and take off again.
Got you.
The benefit of that is you're not tying up real estate with aircraft sitting there charging.
Yeah.
You might have a little top-up charger while it's turning around, but you don't. With the multitude of sites, you want to just have aircraft in, aircraft out.
Yeah.